Hi, friend. If you've ever watched an old black and white movie and wondered why the actors and actresses sound half American, half British, you're not alone. Hi, I'm Kate Glasheen. I'm a voice and dialect coach with a passion for health and wellness. You can learn more about me at kateglasheen.com, and if you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe below. Let's get started. The dialect you just heard is what we call Elevated Standard. It's been known by a lot of names over the years, including Standard Speech, Good Speech, Stage Standard, Transatlantic, Mid-Atlantic, and those last couple names came about because it actually is a blend of American and British sounds, sort of like how you'd speak if you grew up in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Elevated Standard was codified and made famous by Edith Skinner, who was an American elocutionist when we still use that term. She taught at many prominent acting schools and published a book in 1942 called Speak with Distinction. Her influence was felt from New York to Hollywood and is the reason why a lot of the films from the 1930s, 40s, and into the 50s feature that accent. Skinner originally used the term good American speech and taught it as a sort of ideal or primary way of speaking for her students. Now, many of us in the voice and speech world now, including me, tend to believe that students should be encouraged to retain their native regional dialects, but that actors still need to study dialect work so they can play a wider range of characters. Today, Elevated Standard is still used for characters of very high status, period pieces, and translations. Take a Molière play, for example. His work is set in 1600s France and usually about wealthy people of high status. He wrote in his native French, and it's just been translated for our benefit. So since his characters are French people easily speaking French, it doesn't actually make sense for an English-speaking production to use French accented English. So Elevated Standard can be used to reflect the character's status and also that they're from another time and place. So, what are some of the features of Elevated Standard? You might notice that I'm dropping my sounds quite a bit. A softened or dropped R is actually a key part of the accent. Most of my vowels would remain American, but some of the vowels that we would say ah will have a bit more lip rounding on them. So earlier when I mentioned my website and I said .com, there's a bit more lip rounding than in my native accent, .com. I'll also use something called a liquid U after the consonants N, T, D, S, Z, and L. So I might read a lurid story about the Duke of Zurich in Tuesday's newspaper. It's just an example, I don't actually get a newspaper. Next, I might change the terminal or ending E sound in the words like happy or silly to an I sound like happy or silly. Some other fun pronunciation features include aspirating or putting extra breath through your W sound when it's spelled along with an H, like which, where, and why. Back to American for just a second. So this dialect also differentiates between the words merry, marry, and Mary. Now, if you grew up in New England, this shift will sound pretty familiar, but a lot of Americans pronounce those words all the same way, Mary. But in Elevated Standard, we would say I will be merry when I marry Mary. There are a few more features that pop up here and there, but overall, the features I mentioned and a nice relaxed oral posture with precise articulation will give you the Elevated Standard sound. You might even notice that my vocal quality has a little less twang in this dialect. American English speakers in general tend to have more twang than British English speakers, and so even my vocal placement is sort of halfway splitting the difference between the two countries. If you'd like to learn more about the history and the varying perspectives about Elevated Standard, I've included the link to a great article in the LA Times in the description. I personally believe actors shouldn't have all their regionalisms trained out of them, but I do think that Elevated Standard still has its usefulness. Regardless, do yourself a favor and sit down to watch some Tracy and Hepburn or Bogart and Bergman and listen for how the sounds of the language affect the storytelling.